On November 12th, the Ukrainian armed forces attacked the Stavrolen defense plant in Budyonovsk, Stavropol Krai, Russian Federation, as well as an ammunition depot in the temporarily occupied Novi Svet, according to the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces.
As part of efforts to reduce the production capabilities of petrochemical products for the needs of the Russian aggressor's military-industrial complex, Ukrainian defense forces struck the infrastructure of Stavrolen.
The plant has a full cycle of hydrocarbon raw material processing and produces polymers used in the manufacture of composite materials, body parts, seals, and insulation for various types of equipment used by the Russian Federation's army. Among other things, it also produces components for drones. Stavrolen is a subsidiary of Lukoil. The plant supplies products to local manufacturers and provides raw materials for the petrochemical industry of the Russian Federation. Numerous explosions and a fire were recorded at the site of the impact. It is also known that, in order to reduce the enemy's offensive capabilities, an ammunition depot was struck in the temporarily occupied territory of Novi Svet in the Donetsk region. Earlier, on November 11th, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reported that Ukrainian Defense Forces had struck the Saratov oil refinery, the marine oil terminal in temporarily occupied Feodosia in Crimea, and a number of facilities in the temporarily occupied territory of the Donetsk region. The Saratov oil refinery produces more than 20 types of petroleum products and is involved in meeting the needs of the Russian occupation army.
A series of explosions was recorded, after which a massive fire was observed in the target area.
As noted by the General Staff, the marine oil terminal in temporarily occupied Feodosia is a key hub for the supply of fuel and lubricants by sea to the temporarily occupied territories in southern Ukraine. It is known that the tanks on the facility's territory were hit. The strikes reported by the General Staff of Ukraine on November 11th and 12th are of strategic importance and reflect a new phase of pressure on Russian military infrastructure and industry. Earlier, journalist Mike Nakis stated, refineries and oil depots in Russia continue to burn, and recently, so do thermal power plants and electrical substations.
The gasoline crisis is spreading and gaining momentum, and soon an energy crisis may join it. Ukraine is systematically cutting Moscow off from sources of electricity.
Nakis stated that, according to the publication Verstka, oil refineries and oil depots in the Russian Federation have been attacked at least 250 times.
Out of the 250 attacks, 213 or 85% were successful. That is, they resulted in at least the ignition of utility buildings or debris falling on the facility's grounds, and in some cases, explosions and fires at processing units or storage tanks, which halted operations for several days or even weeks. The success of the remaining 37 attacks, 15%, could not be confirmed by Verstka, but they may have achieved their objectives as well.
A number of analysts claim that for Russian society, these strikes serve as a signal that the war is penetrating ever deeper into the country's territory. For the Kremlin, this is a reputational blow, demonstrating the vulnerability of even strategically important industrial sites. Overall, the series of attacks on industrial and energy infrastructure indicates that Ukraine is intensifying its strategic campaign to exhaust Russia's war economy, as previously announced by President Volodymyr Zelensky. The goal is not only the physical destruction of individual facilities, but also the systematic limitation of the production and logistics capabilities on which the Russian military-industrial complex relies. As the president of Ukraine stated, in 2025, Russia will lose at least $37 billion in budget oil and gas revenues.
Russian oil companies and the energy sector as a whole are losing tens of billions of dollars more. All of this restricts the Russian war machine. Both conventional sanctions against Russia and Ukraine's long-range sanctions are working effectively.
For Russia, this means increased costs for defense, recovery, a possible slowdown in weapons production, weakening of the resilience of the rear economy, and growing internal tension, including pressure on the political leadership.